Now let's learn the Sikha of the Rebbe about the book of Shemot. We are now entering the book of Shemot, and here is what the Rebbe has to say. Oifim Pasuk about the sentence. Call Haben, every son, Hayalud, which is born, Hayora Tashlichus, throw him in the river. Let's lighting over there. And every daughter you should keep alive. That's what Pharaoh said. He heard from his astrologers that there was going to be a boy that was going to be born. It was going to usurp him. It was going to kick him out of his castle and become the king. Going to depose the king. So the king got this brilliant idea: we'll kill all the male children. So he killed all the male children, even the Egyptians. So he said, kill all the male boys, but the daughters, especially this was right on the Jews. He said, kill all the male boys, but the daughters let live. Okay, obviously it's unnecessary for him to say, let the daughters live. Just say, kill all the males. Kill all the males, the male baby boys. That's all. Kill the male baby boys. It's understood that everybody else leave. He doesn't say kill all the baby boys and let the daughters and the cows and the sheep and the dogs and the cats. He doesn't have to, obviously if he says just kill the boys, it means that's all, kill only the boys. What does he have to say? And let the daughters live. So the Rebbe said, Freckman, so leave us why this Pharaoh Gedarft Oisfir, and why did he have to also order the Kalabat Techiyun and let every girl live? What does he have to say? Let the daughters live. There is this oisen given as the niggabointer zin, only the born boys. Zolzen arain varfen and meich. He just said, throw all the newborn boys into the river. Und das was wird sein mit der Tochter, what's going to be with the daughters? Hat him nit interested. They didn't care about the daughters. The prophecy was that there's going to be a boy that's going to stand up and he is going to dethrone you. So he said, kill all the baby boys. Well, from that he had to mention also the daughters, Techiyun, should be alive, is Dach Mashma. This implies, it's called about Techiyun, this is also a decree. And that they're clearing their phone. What is the learning? What is the teaching from this? The lesson, Techiyun, in their Taich is the means, Diuk, Ir Zolze Lazen Leben, Beleben. That you Egyptian ministers and soldiers and what, that you should take care that you're the ones that enliven the daughters. The Zelba Mitzrim, the same Egyptians, Pharaoh, which Pharaoh had, angezogt, commanded, as they on the Rheinwerf and Yiddish Kinder and Teich, they should throw the boys in the river, b'chadei upzu toiten, in order to, God forbid, kill them. The body, hat ze euch angesagt, he also commanded them, the she'eri saplita, the remainder of the children, welcher wellen bleben, which were living in alive, sollen ze, the Mitzrim, they should mechaya sein, they should keep them alive. Darzian, they should educate them in zer derech, in their way. So this decree was mainly against the Jews. The decree was mainly against the Jews. And what was the decree? The decree was kill all the boys physically and kill all the girls spiritually. In Lebenswegen, they should live in the way of the Egyptians because they ois zu toiten, in order to kill their souls. Now, Egyptian life, by the way, it says that Egypt was the most licentious country, maybe in the history of the world. More than Los Angeles, more than these crazy places. Then what is it? Ibiza and these decadent, terrible places, Amsterdam. Egypt was the most decadent country in the world, maybe in the history of the world, to the degree where there's even a commandment that what the Egyptians do, you shouldn't do. That's where the prohibition of lesbianism comes from, and all these other weird things that people just do whatever they want. That was Egypt, and that's what he said to educate the girls that they should be in the Egyptian way, that they're clearing their form. What does it mean? Tichiyun is the taich means the diuk as they're made therefore thereby is oich verstanding. It's understood the shinoi alashan, why it says the different language. What's vastu Yiddish mialdos, that it says to the Jewish maid, the woman, the what is it, the midwives, hat Pharaoh gesagt Norwegen the nitchepen the banos. He said by the Jewish midwives, he said, don't deal with the girls. Kadei lichter ois zufieren by ze the gezerah from oif titan dezin. By the Jewish midwives, he just ordered that they should kill the males. That's all. But by the Jewish midwives, he didn't say let the girls live. He just said kill all the males. Nor v'chaya. It just says that they should live. Right? Leave them alone. Ze zal bleiben leben. Just leave them alive. That's, if you look in the language over there, it says that they kill all the males. He says that the females. Pharaoh said to the Jewish midwives and to the Jewish midwives, don't kill them. Don't kill them. But from this, what the Torah says, as beide gezeres zusammen, both of them together, is the zelben passing in the same sentence. This is a sign as kolabat techiyun. That what it says, what he said to the to the Egyptians, let all the girls live, make them live, is nitkan klenerer gezer. It's not any less of a decree from kol ben tashlichu yora, to kill all the males. Ois toitim rachman islam, the souls of the girls is of the Jewish females is a zoy harb is as severe as oif toitim is killing the bodies. And even in a way, it's even worse, vile, because kasha mita ruchnis yotem misa gashim, is because in a way spiritual death is worse and more difficult than physical death. That's why so many Jews were willing to give their lives not to deny their Judaism. A geistic atoit of spiritual death is erger, is worse from a kerpelich atoit than physical. Their month nagazera, this decree from kol abat techiyun, that leave all the girls alive, so dartzein, namely to educate Jewish children in the lebenkach, in the, how do you say, excitement from Egypt, is oich marumas. It's also hinted at when it says a kol ben hayolud hayora tashlichu. This is relevant also what he said, throw the children in the sea. There's a lot of ways that boys could be killed, right? I mean, the Germans found all sorts of really very scientific and novel ways to kill people. There's a lot of ways to kill. One of the more difficult ways to kill a person is to carry him all the way to a river. The children, carry them all the way into the river and throw them in the river, right? And they'll die in the river. It takes a while for them to die in the river. Also, it fills up the river with all these bodies. It's really weird, They won't contaminate the river. Nevertheless, that's what he said. Throw them in the river. Why in the world would he do a thing like that? I mean, it's very impractical. Their taich Nile is because the Nile River is given to Avodah Zorah. This was the idolatry of Egypt. Zuvem and the Mitzrayim haben gedint, that the Egyptians bowed down and they worshipped the river. They had all sorts of other gods also, but that was like the main god. That was the source of their life. The Peshuta Siba, the reason is weil the Nile is given zan kvel from Parnasa. This was the well, the source of livelihood. In Mitzrayim, in Egypt, geht nicht kein Regen, there is no rain. Und die Felder werden ois getrunken, the fields have to be irrigated from the river. I think that's the way it is even now. Und das is hayora tashlichu. That's what it means, throw the boys in the river. What does this mean? This indicates two things. Number one, the Galus Mitzrayim, the physical exile in Egypt, means oif teuten der irische guf, means actually killing people. They actually killed the boys. But also, there's another type of exile of Egypt, spiritual Egypt. With spiritual Egypt, like we just finished learning in Likuti Torah, is still right now. This, a Reinvarf and they, in the Avodah Zorah from Tainug, from Mitzrayim, the idolatry of pleasure from Egypt. Oif Tuten, killing the soul. People live for pleasure. That's what it's. In America, there was the saying, right? That's the saying, if it makes you happy, right? The children, what are we going to do? If it makes you happy, do it, right? If it makes you sure this is going to make you happy, are you sure this is what you want? If it's sure it's going to make you happy, then that's what you do it, right? Why shouldn't he take drugs? Because it's not going to make him happy. It's going to make him miserable in the end. So, but if it does make you happy, then you can do it. Anything that makes you happy is good. That's what the children understand. Because that's the river. Bataych, the Wasser, this is water. And water, it says in the Tanya, the first chapter of Tanya, that water is the sign of pleasure. Like it says, water makes all pleasures grow. Water, it flows, there's no limit. Water is synonymous with pleasure. So that's what he's saying. The Jewish girls educate them in our way, and the Jewish boys throw them into the idolatry of Egypt, pleasure. The Rebbe is going to go into this a little more, but especially the pleasure of making money, being a success. Oh, a success. If you're a success, then you're alive. You're not a success, you're a totally worthless person. You're not success. People commit suicide, they go crazy, right? He becomes the alcoholic. He's not successful. You have to be successful, anything for success. Galus Mitzrayim is a source to all of the exiles. Was from them, which in them is verstandig, it's understandable, is the gezerah, that the decrees which were in Egypt, Zion, Faran, and Allah Galias, they were in all exiles. Oichen Eitztiker Galus, also presently. When Oichen Unzer Galus, and Unzer Dorn, even now, right now, in our generation. What's Egypt got to do with us? Oichaint also now. Is the Pharaoh, there's also Pharaoh Melech Mitzrayim. What is Pharaoh, the king of Egypt? Thus says this means the Balabatischkeit und Hanhaga from their land, namely the conduct of the land. Right? You're in Egypt, you do what the Egyptians do. You're in America, you be like the Americans do. Velchatainu, which says, as men zola rein warfen Yiddische Kinder in Teich, you have to throw the Jewish children into the sea from Minhagiv and Nimus Medina and be like everybody else in the country. The Kinder sollen sich tunken und sein der Trunken in the Teich. You have to submerge and drown the children in the river. Was Leut sein Menung gitem Parnasa means what? Livelihood. This is what's going to give you life. The Nile gave everybody life. This is what's going to give you life. Take your children and throw them into the river of making a living. Und men hat rein ein Moiren Yiddische Kinder in the Wegen, in the vent from Pitom and Ramses, that they had, that says that they even would put children, babies, in the walls of Pitom and Ramses, the cities. What does it mean? A Ryan Tanze in the Inyanim Velchazainen Starkeit, in doing involving the Jews only in things which are strengthening in the country. In other words, be like a regular, good, normal citizen. This is the essence of a Jew. Now, to be a good citizen is a very wonderful thing. There's no doubt about it. And to make money is also a wonderful thing. And to be successful, is fantastic, right? Judaism says, the Rebbe said a lot of times, that every Jew is supposed to be rich, every Jew. But that's not the essence of Judaism. That's a byproduct. That's a byproduct. The main thing in life has to be your principles, has to be your identity, your soul, right? The meaning, your your very spirituality. That's the essence. And the essence of a Jew is that he has to be a Jew, one of God's people, son of God, every Jew. By throwing the Jews into the river, und men soll rein moyer in Yiddish Kinder in the, that's also darf man wissen, you have to know, as the alle tanus, all these what, as haba nit chachmalo lelokeim, it says, Pharaoh said, let us be wise, let's take advice on how to defeat the Jews. It says not how to defeat the Jews, how to defeat the God of the Jews. Comes from Pharaoh Melech Mitzrayim. What does he want? Ezol nit bleiben kein Srid b'Polit. There should not remain any Jew of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism, from Yiddish and neshamas of souls. And durch them, by means of this, euch from Yiddish gufim, also by the Jewish bodies. So what does it mean? Let's just take a simple example. The Jews, when they were in Germany, right? Within Germany, before Hitler came in, the Jews loved Germany so much. And the Germans loved the Jews. Oh, they were just so, and they were accepted everywhere. And there was Jewish artists and Jewish musicians and Jewish doctors and Jewish professors and Jewish mathematicians, and everything. There was Jews everywhere, right? And the Jews, there was nothing better for a Jew than to be accepted by the Germans. This was the greatest achievement that a person could possibly have, to be accepted by them, by the Germans, by the Austrians. And they accepted him. They appreciated the Jews and they appreciated this. All of a sudden, one day, poop, that's the whole thing turned around. But the Jews tried as hard as they could to get away from Judaism before Hitler came in, as much as they could to get away from Judaism, right? That was the place where reform started and everything. They wanted to ingratiate themselves and be intermarried. It's the most wonderful thing, right? Till all of a sudden, what happened? They saw it didn't work. It wasn't going to work. Says the Rebbe, let's not do the same thing. Okay, there won't be another, God forbid, Hitler, but what happens in America? Same thing in America and Europe, all these different places. Oh, to be friends, France, to be friends with the people, to be like the people, to be talk like them, to act like them, to be accepted by them, to have a high, nothing better than that. If you stand out, it's worth. You're not going to get the same job. They're always going to be looked at with a left eye, and you're going to be also always suspicious. Okay, but you have to be yourself. If you don't, a person has to know that all of these tricks of the country are only there to destroy Judaism. Of course, it's not going to work. So the whole thing is a big bluff. So therefore, darf man sich stellen mit der größter Starkheit. A person has to stand very strongly. Oiskennen sein Geseros und Mechanech in order to entgegen seine Geseros, against the decrees of the country, und Mechanech sein the Kinder, and teaching the children Baruch Yisrael Saba. You have to teach the Jewish children in a way of Judaism. This is a very, very difficult thing because it has to be in a happy way, also in a very positive way. But you have to let the child know, at least give him a chance. You have to let the child know, first of all, what Judaism is, primarily what Judaism is, and if possible, only what Judaism is. The other things they'll find out. Don't worry about it. Lepoel mentas. What do I mean exactly? What am I telling the Rebbe saying? What am I trying to tell you to do? B'shas es handelt sich wegen der Kinder. One is talking about educating children. Darf man nicht und tornet. You should not, and you must not vertrinken sie, sinking them in the Nile River. The avodah zarah of the land. Men tornet dar trinken, Rahman Islam, the kinder. You don't have to drown the children in Tachlis Suchen, looking for success. Der einzige Weg zum Leben in der vollständiger Chinuch, you have to have complete 100% education in unser Torah, in the Torah of life. Es ist nicht was zu gucken auf andere Eltern. You don't have to look on other people. Was their Kinder, which their children, Wellen ois gewachsen, far zergeta, far zargeta, der vet haben ahoys. They want to be successful. This one wants to have a house. This has to have a car. This one has to be a doctor. This one has to be a lawyer. This one, und der wenigste, and the last one, at least to be a shoe shiner. Aber as die vet schicken a kinder, but to send a child to yeshiva, vet sein a butler, he won't be anything. Vet nit kennen a viel putzen sein shich, he won't even know how to shine shoes. Vet nor nit wesen, wie men halt a brush, you brushel on hand, he won't even know how to hold the shoe shining brush in his hand. What does it mean? Don't send your children to yeshivas. That's the spirit in America. Darfman Vision, you have to know, is the Eibishter that God is their Zanam Farnis to call, that God provides for everybody. Und as men vet men was will, and if you do what God wants, vishinantam lovanecha, and you teach them to your children, and you speak about them when you're sitting in your house, when they're walking on their way, when you go to sleep, when you wake up in the morning, as veter ton, then if you do what God wants, then God will do what you request for him. For sich und for seinem Kinder, for you and for your children. Men darf abgeben the kind, you have to give your children to a teacher. Was is a line lebedik, which is alive, and he himself is interested and lives in the Torah. Und chaybahem, in the mitzvahs from Torah, and the mitzvahs of the Torah. Und der Malamed, and that teacher, Zol Zayin der Tzirin, should educate the children to 11 way of Torah and mitzvahs. Und durch dem, by means of this, Retavin, you will save the Jewish children, and through this, you will save the whole entire Jewish people. Let's finish this. Azoi, just like in the exile of Egypt, the source of all the exiles, which from this is all the decrees which there are for on is also is now. Like we said before, Azoi oich wegen the geula, also the same thing when the Jews left Egypt. So also in the future redemption, which is supposed to be right now, it says, like we said in the Mimer, just like the days of your going out of Egypt, I will show you miracles. As the geula atida, that the future redemption, vetzain enlech, will be similar to the redemption of going out of Egypt. Thus says this means as oich de hachanas the benyanim was bringing digula, just like the preparation for that redemption back then, Darf and Zion Enlech should be similar. I'm sorry, for the redemption now, have to be similar to what it was when we went out of Egypt. On the redemption of going out of Egypt, it says, B'schar nashim tzidkaniyos shahaya bo'oto ador, nigalo avoseinu b'Mitzrayim. It says, in the merit of righteous women, the Jews left Egypt. Was haben getan, what did they do? Say, ze haben oiv gestellt, a door that they stood up, a generation of Jews. B'shaz gezeres Haman, in the worst times possible, the decree of Haman, and of Pharaoh. That Pharaoh wanted to kill all the children, and they gave birth to all the children. Haben ze getaina, they said, as men darf sich nit rechnen mit Pharaoh's gezeres. They said, Pharaoh says to kill all the children. If we don't have any children, that's going to be worse than Pharaoh. Pharaoh wants to kill all the males. We have to give birth to the males. And we have to also defy his decree on the girls also. From Kol Abena Yelod Roya Tashlichu, from Pharaoh says we should send through all the Jewish males into the river. Vibalt is their Abishter because God said, is Darf Mentan vi der Abishter. We should do not what Pharaoh says, but what God says. Nit machen dik kein cheshbonos, not to make any calculations. Was vet sein the tachlis, what's going to be? Beschar from the Nashim Tzidkanios, and because of these righteous women, Zain and Unzer Avos, our forefathers, our fathers, Oizgalit, we left Egypt. Okay, now you have to remember, what's the Rebbe saying here? Education, educating the children. A child has to have a very firm and clear picture that God is creating the world, that God provides for everything in the world, that God gave us the Torah, that God wants us to learn His Torah. God is giving us the Torah right now, that God will provide for us. We have a special responsibility and a special, privilege that we can unite with God and learn His Torah in a pure way. And of course, there's going to be all sorts of difficulties. We're in a world, and the world is screaming out, there's no God, and and He won't help you, and etc. And that's why the Jews are here, in order to make everyone in the world realize that it's not so, that the world is really God's creation. And we're talking about children now. When a person gets older, he has to find a job. He'll get a job, don't worry. He'll get a job. Maybe he'll go to university to be a job, but his foundation has to be that God is the creator, God is the basis, God is the provider. And that we should do what God wants. We have a responsibility. That's the foundation. Don't throw the babies into the river. Also now in every single country, and especially in America, Darfman nit legen kein acht. You don't have to put any attention to the heat and the excitement of the country. And making all sorts of calculations. What vet sein, the tachlis, what's the purpose of going to yeshiva? What's he going to get out of it? Men darf mechanech sein, you have to educate the children. Wie the Eibishter hat geheißen, like what God wants. That's what's going to be the goal. You'll have at least someone in the world that does what God wants. Und der Eibishter vet versorgen, and God He'll take care of, He'll worry for the children. Und euch the Elter, and also for the parents. Darf durch them, was men rechent, davka, only by means of this, what a person does not take into account, is not affected by the decrees of Pharaoh and the decrees by means of this. Retavit, we save men, the Eingen and Kinder, your own children, men we bring also the future redemption from the ganze, from all the Jewish people. And this will be by means of Mashiach, Tzikenu B'Korov Mamash, by means of the Mashiach immediately now. And let's just do the Yom for today. Today is what, the 18th? What's today? The 18th? 19th? What's the 19th today, right? Today's the 19th. There's a nice long one from yesterday, but we'll do that today in the afternoon class, 3 o'clock. Please be with us. It says, by Chassid Chabad, it's accepted by every generation. And the altar Rebbe's, the first Rebbe of Chabad said that every day we should learn Chumash with Rashi from the Sedra. This was also the Rebbe of Nasiya Chabad. And the Rebbe also added on, the previous Rebbe also added on that we should say Tehillim every day, and also Tanya. Tanya is also divided according to the days of the week. But you should learn Rashi, Chumash, the portion of the day, with Rashi also. Have a good day, everyone. God bless you with Mashiach now. Hope to see you all at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll learn Chumash. Shalom Uvracha.